What do you think are the differences between driving a sports car in real life versus a Formula car in real life? Today we are here with, and I will not say your name because I want you to say it.
My name is Jean-Christophe Trahan. I'm also a race car driver, and I'm mostly, although I made an exception this weekend to be with this guy, I drive Formula cars mostly, but this weekend it was a really nice Toyota 86.
Now you're also a Formula 2000 champion from last year.
Yes.
How many races did you win?
I think I won 7 out of 12.
Okay, so he knows what he's doing, and I think it's worth talking about these differences because I don't have a lot of experience in real life, but I did try a Formula 4 in this one, and a Porsche Cayman, and a Porsche 911 road car, so I have more or less some idea of how it feels, but let's talk about the 5 differences or similarities, most likely differences, between sports cars and Formula cars. The first thing is power steering. Like, for me, it's incredible how light it is. I mean, not all sports cars have like super light steering, but I think most have power steering.
With power steering, it makes a major difference when you compare it to something like a normal Formula car or most Formula cars, except if you really go up like a Formula 2 and Formula 1, those have power steering, but most other series don't have, and unless you get up to speed, they're extremely hard just to maneuver around. You need a bit of oil in your joints to be able to do it.
For me, it was actually scarier because it's so light, the steering wheel. I was turning into turn 1 here. By the way, we're at Mosport. I was turning into turn 1, and you have so little feedback from the steering itself that I'm afraid of turning more. So you have to really rely on the G-force, which I'm not used to. I'm used to feeling the tires from the steering, and that's why I think I was actually a little bit more competitive in the Formula 4, because it's so heavy that I was able to communicate with the car through the steering. But with this car, you have to feel it here. It's more difficult, and I was really scared of like just turning more. So just because the steering is so light, I was scared, and I was tensing up my arms like, and then okay, no, relax and try to feel, even though it's super light, there is still a little bit. Honestly, I don't like it. I think the heavier the steering, the better, because we can like communicate more with the car.
Yeah, it's true. You get more feedback, but also you get more to deal with. So compromise, but one that Swellier would be willing to make. And I guess the other major difference would be the way you manage weight transfer, the actual weight of the thing. In most, obviously, cars, you got way more stuff around you. Chassis in general is just not that. You have way more body work, everything is a bit heavier. And obviously weight transfers, you have to really deal with it in a more predictive way where
delayed almost, right? Like you have to do it, and things take time to happen.
Yep. You have to be ahead of what's going on. Instead of a Formula car, you can kind of get away with just reacting what's going on if you want to go fast.
Although, it's so immediate, it's insane.
Exactly. So, I mean, the feedback is instantaneous. You don't have a lot of components that the feeling that you feel has to go through in order to know what's going on and then react to it or act instinctively upon it. So I guess that's the major difference I can find also with weight. And just in general, you can get away with a lot more with driving if you're driving with bad habits in a Formula car than if you actually are in a road car.
It's easier to drive bad and still survive in a Formula car.
Yes, you can have really bad habits where you are stabby with your inputs, and you are not smooth, and you're not carrying speed where you should and stuff like that.
Yeah. But if you do that in a sports car though, things like that might happen. So yeah, it is more scary eventually.
Funny, not funny.
Just because it's slow, you don't have enough time to react to it. I don't know. It feels like the Formula car requires a better reaction time, but it's actually the opposite. Just because the feedback is so immediate, it gives you more time to react to it. That's actually, I never thought about it. It makes sense. And one more difference is the brakes. Like, these are so light that what feels like 25 kilos in my sim is ABS in this car. Yeah. So you have to brake, like, you feel the little travel. It feels like an entry level with absolutely no resistance. This is how it feels in most of like the production cars that are converted into race cars, just because I think they're intended to be comfortable or something.
Exactly, where it's cars that at the basis of it were road-going cars, so everything was designed to be gentle and easy to use every day. But even if you put really good pads on your brakes and everything to make the car competitive as a race car, still have that feature of it being kind of soft. And you compare something like a Formula car, where if you really want to maximize your braking, you can go up to 1200, 1300 PSI.
Yeah, that's
in
insane.
pressure.
I
So-
never locked the Formula 4 like on a
Exactly.
straight line. I was able to lock it like on turn end because I realized I was not braking hard enough before. But like on initial press, you have to like use all your force.
Exactly.
It's insane.
Big butt, strong legs.
Yeah.
That works.
And on this one here, I was braking. It feels like I was braking 1% everywhere, and the car was stopping a lot. It was like, ugh. And almost like you try to brake a little bit, and then because the car actually slows down, the G-force makes you brake even more.
It's true. You have to really be more aware of your inputs.
That's actually funny. Like the G-force makes you brake more than you want.
Yep.
Because it's so sensitive. So sensitive.
So another little point I just thought about, the way you apply brakes in a Formula car, in a GT car, I think is something you already touched upon, is in a GT car you can get away with a flatter curve when you start braking, and then you decrease the brakes. In a Formula car, it's straight away 100%, but you don't stay there for long unless you want to lock up. And then you have to really progressively get down and have a very linear curve to then turn into the corner.
And the last thing that is pretty scary, I was really scared about that in racing Formula 4, is that you cannot have any contact.
Yeah.
Like if you have slight contact, it can flip you just because the tires are exposed. And here we have a lot more. We can really rub. Rub is racing in sports car, and you cannot escape from it. If you're racing, eventually you're gonna have some contact. It's just like you feel a lot more comfortable to do that. And in a Formula race, like even though people on the high level get super close, you cannot do it.
Well, I did have a big crash in 2019 where I flipped over someone, but that was a back marker and I wasn't really racing him. So it was more of a misunderstanding, but you can very rarely get away with contact in Formula racing, as it is extremely easy to get, as you said, you know, into interlock to each other, then touch tires, and then it's take off from there. Instead of, obviously it's never the goal to rub upon someone or bang a little bit doors and stuff like that, although you can get away with a lot more. So that's, I guess, a major key difference where you kind of have to adapt your driving whatever you're feeling, ever it is a Formula car or a GT car.
These conversations always remind me how stupid racing is. It's insane.
Futile.
How dangerous it is in real life. Oh my God, I've seen crashes in front of me. Actually here in Mosport, like a car crashed at 165, it actually looked like this or worse. And I also saw a Formula 4 crash. That's important to think about.
Yes, it's important just to keep in mind, back of your head in a little drawer, but never have it too exposed where you can't think about it while you're driving. You just have to put it inside, have it kind of work to you never do it as a kind of experience or shared experience, and then yeah, just don't be too paranoid about it.
Exactly.
Seems easy, but it's
full focus, be careful out there, and then send it.
And as always, here's my discount coupon for the best online sim racing course in the planet, the Motor Racing Checklist. Use YouTube20 for 20% off and get your money back if you don't like it. I'll see you in the next one.